Welcome to our channel, Aportes Afro-Costarricenses y Diaspóricos. This afternoon, I have the wonderful pleasure to have on this platform our sister from Guatemala. I had the opportunity and the joy to meet Gloria Rowe-Arnold 2 years ago at a conference at the Universidad de Costa Rica. And today we are here. And she is sharing with us um, some information from her publication, and is the Guiou Los Otros Negros, which is information about Afro-Guatemalans, descendants from Jamaicans, which is very similar to the story of the second wave of Afro-Costa Ricans in Costa Rica. But before Gloria starts sharing this wonderful story with us, I just want to introduce her to you. Gloria Rowe-Arnold is an author, teacher, workshop designer, highlighting as a facilitator. She was born in Puerto Barrios, Izabal, and she spent most of her adult life in Harlem, New York. Her most recent publication, as I just mentioned, right? Guiou Los Otros Negros, la presencia afrojamaicana en Guatemala. Gloria, it is my most wonderful, grateful. I'm so excited to have you on the channel this afternoon. So the floor is yours, Gloria.
Well, good afternoon to you, Dr. Hutchinson. It is my pleasure. And I just can't explain the joy to be able to be on this platform. Aportes Afro-Costarricenses y Diaspóricos. To be here to share the story, which is, as you said, similar to the Costa Rican. So we have so much in common. So it is really my pleasure to be here to share the story of the Afro-Guatemalans. Are we ready?
Be ready, sister.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, okay, we're beginning with the Afro-Guatemalans. And who are we? Well, Guatemala has the unique, let's say, unique distinction of having three groups of Afros. We have the Afro-Colonials, and they were brought here as enslaved people. They were brought to Guatemala by the Spaniards during the colonial period. So that would be the Afro-Colonial, and today they are known more as Afro-Mestizos in Guatemala. Then we have the second group, and I'm giving the groups in order of their arrival because the Afro-Colonial was the first Africans that came to this country, to Guatemala. The second group, I think, were the Garifunas or Garinagu, and they are people of a mixed race, descendants of West Africa. It's a mixture of Caribs and Nigerian. So these people, the Nigerian, they went to St. Vincent where they mixed with the Arawak people who were there and the island of St. Vincent. So this is where this mixture took place, and that produces what we know today as the Garifuna people. So they arrived in Guatemala in the 1800s. The next group that came to Guatemala were the Afro-Descendants from Jamaica. And these are people who came to Guatemala from the Caribbean islands, but mainly from Jamaica. They came to work for the United Fruit Company during the early 1900s. And this group, Afrodescendientes, as we are called in Guatemala, does not include the Garifuna, but it does include the Afro-Colonials. So Afrodescendientes in Guatemala refers to the Jamaican and the people from the Caribbean, and the Afro-Mestizo, the ones that came with the colonials.
Okay.
And moving forward, so today we are looking into mostly the Afro-Jamaicans. So my focus is on the Afro-Jamaicans in Guatemala because frankly, I don't know much about the Garifunas except their brief story, their arrival, and that they're here. I know even less about the Afro-Mestizos, but I do know about the Afro-Jamaicans, of which I am one. So I will continue with that. Afro-Jamaican Guatemalan, who we are. My mission is to inform of our presence in Guatemala, to be recognized as who we are. And beginning with our arrival, these are a few pictures of a few people that actually came to Guatemala, and they came by boat, of course, from Jamaica. These are all Jamaicans, and they came, as I said, to work for the United Fruit Company. So this is the pictures of a few of them that came. And just to, let's say, just to confirm that they came, they were not brought. I have a picture, I have passports, I have pictures of passports, their documents, because it's been said that they were brought here as slaves. And I am here to correct that. They were not brought here as slaves. They came, documented people, to work for the United Fruit Company. And I insist on keeping that record straight. And moving on, here are some of the surnames, and you may even recognize some of these names that you have the same names in Costa Rica, but these are the names of mostly the Jamaicans. Most of them are Jamaican. For example, the Allen family, well, they came from Belize. And you know the situation between Belize and Guatemala at that time. So anyway, they came from Belize. There's another family in here, the Dubois. And the Dubois, here they are. This is the Dubois. They were from Haiti. There's the Charles family. The Charles family came from St. Lucia. But 9 out of every 10 Afro-descendants are descended from Jamaicans. So these are those names, and you know, you may see some names. Very interesting is that the Castle, the family in Castle, they changed their name from Castle to Castillo because the Spanish people couldn't say Castle. And the same thing happened with White. Mr. White, I'm told by his grandson, great-grandson, I believe, he changed his name to Blanco because he did not like being called Huite.
Oh, God.
So, and now just to highlight the professions and occupations of the new immigrants. So what we have here is we will see from the occupation, they came to work for United Fruit Company. So let's take Mr. Drummond, for example. And what I've done is, you know, we had a custom growing up that we call everybody Mr. And a friend of mine in an interview, he said it took him the longest to realize that everybody's first name was not Mr. So what happened is we call them, if it's, let's say Mr. Ben Flowers, he could be called Mr. Ben or Mr. Flowers. So when we use their name, we don't know if it was the first name or the last name. So if I use a Mr., it's because we only have the last name. If I have the first and last name, then I'll use them both. So here we have Mr. Drummond, and he came to as a general manager. He was a general manager for the United Fruit Company. Here's another relative of the Drummond, and he was general mechanic for United Fruit Company. And what I say is that they came as professionals because what happened is in Jamaica, the people were liberated from slavery in 1838. Between 1838 and the early 1900s, the Jamaicans were educated. They became professionals. So they came to Guatemala and to other Panama, Costa Rica as professionals. And we see that if you look at the people's profession, you know, manager in charge of UFC bottling company, manager in charge of the ice plant, Another one was a commissary manager. So as we look down, we even say UFC Hotel and Wharf Import Export Division. So we look at their professions and we see that. I continue with this just to make a point. We had medical doctors, Dr. Grennan, Dr. Willoughby, Dr. McCoy. They came and they were the head of the UFC clinic. And he came from Costa Rica. Hello, of Jamaican father.
Okay.
Name McCoy.
Oh, very interesting to research that one.
Okay, so Mr. Drummond again was manager in charge of the hospital. This was a doctor, Dr. Drummond, okay? Private English school teachers also came from Jamaica. Miss Hilda, Hilda Young was one of my teachers. Miss Martinez was one of my teachers. So all these were teachers, the English teachers, because in Colonia, what they had to do in Guatemala is they had to set up their own colonia, and it was called just the English colonia. You know, that's where all the English speakers were. In a few minutes, I'll tell you how they all got together there. However, they had to set up their own schools. So as they had children, they put them in English schools. So we had midwives, and then there were also entrepreneurs. You know, Ivy Ferguson, this woman was the first owner and operator of Independent Import-Export Agency, a woman. You know, so hey, what can we say? Continue with the professions and the occupations. Professionals and occupation continuing. Okay, and as I said, I do belabor the point because my point is to show that they came here as educated professionals.
Somos voces de la historia, sangre, tinta y papel. Somos voces de la historia, mis ancestros, su saber, mis ancestros, su saber, mis ancestros, su saber.